Warning, crash test. Yes, it works. I don't know if you're like me, but I love Camembert. Hello, I'm Patrick and this is Sir Alfred, a Defender TD4 bought in 2022. I fitted it out myself with no DIY skills whatsoever, and believe me, it was quite a challenge. After testing it for a month in Morocco, we're now ready to embark on a trip around the world, starting with Africa. Our goal? To exchange our cultural nuggets with local populations and share my adventures with you. I'd like to make it clear that this channel is not for profit. Oh, and here's Nero, my faithful four-legged companion who will keep me safe. So welcome to Belgica around the world. Well, let's face it, fitting out a Defender isn't easy when you're not a handyman. So to make the inside bed, I simply salvaged an old slatted bed base. So why a bed inside Fred? Well, quite simply, it's an emergency bed. Because, in the experience of some of my predecessors who've been to Africa, it's not always easy to find a place where you feel safe, where you can pitch your tent because you might have a sandstorm, for example, or find yourself in the middle of the night, you haven't had time to find a place to set up the bivouac. Or you're in a supermarket parking lot and you don't want to set up the tent and find yourself in your pajamas the next day in front of all the onlookers who've come to do their shopping. So it's always useful to have an emergency bed inside. And so, it's normally a bed where you can be two side by side. That's the advantage of two people, isn't it? But then again, on your own works just as well. So here I am, making progress little by little. Well, I'm no great handyman, but let's just say I was inspired by the #LePetitReporter experience. See the YouTube channel, it's really well done. Two girls traveling together, already in Senegal as we speak, sharing their experiences, their encounters, sharing the layout of their Defender. So, I've been inspired a little and even a lot by what they've done. So, obviously, I'm a guy, I'm not a girl who decorates, who puts the finishing touches to things. But I'm more of a bit of a backpacker, a bit of a practical side of things. But it's something very inspiring. I think their videos are really well done. The content is great too, so check out the little report, it's a well-known channel. Working in Lord Alfred's landscaping doesn't mean you can't watch the French Open out of the corner of your eye. Well, that's not all, Roland Garros is good, but right now, we're in June 2022 and the start is scheduled for October or November 2023, so we'd better get cracking. And when you've never tinkered with anything before, I can assure you, it's no mean feat. Plans aren't really my thing. So I swear, I went by feel, a few tutorials on the internet, we're looking at #GregSway, less #Mariola Straders, #JustinetBETJN Passé et de Milers. I have to admit that the Petit reporter, Olivia and Charlie have really been a great source of inspiration. So girls, thanks for giving me the copyright. No, I'm just kidding. Now all we have to do is unpack the battery and install the wires. Well, my Jeep's fitted out, so all that's missing is the tent on the roof. But never mind. And so I'm testing the first bivouac today, hee, and I'm going to Hardelot. I've never been there, so I'm going to see what it's like, and it's a bivouac near the beach and then we'll see, because they say there's no gas in France, and we'll improvise. So Hardelot. Yeah, okay, it's not bad, but it's still pretty touristy. The aim wasn't to go sightseeing, but rather to test the mechanics and also the solidity of my layout. And on the way back, a little problem, so Fred's problem is a loss of oil. There'll be a blockage in the deck, right? A blockage in the deck. So there's a funny noise and we're trying to find out where it is first, and then, if necessary, repair the problem. Now, we've dismantled the drive shaft and realized that the handbrake you see here is soaked in oil, and the oil comes from the transfer case. So we're going to dry everything off and then investigate a little further. We also encountered a huge problem. We had to replace the constant velocity joints, but the gears were totally worn. This was due to a lack of maintenance by the previous owners. Still, it was high time to change them. So off we went to Japan Cars to fit the roof tent we'd bought from them. They really are pros. Absolutely nothing to complain about. And there's our Fred, ready to test Morocco. So far, so good. Then came the first problem. I don't know if it's Nero's strength or if I've left a sharp object lying around, but the fact remains that the rear window started to crack and then completely shattered. Obviously, this had to happen on a Saturday night, and finding someone to replace the window was no easy task. I did manage to find a nice little independent, but it was impossible to find a Defender TD4 rear window. So, after several unsuccessful attempts, we finally decided to cut a custom rear window for Alfred out of 5 mm thick plexiglass. Alright, it was a bit of a struggle, but in the end we ended up with a solid, translucent plexiglass, and that's just what we needed. Well, that's not all. We're off to Tangier, where we put a muzzle on Nero, who didn't like it too much. And then in Tangier, we fix a brake fluid problem. And then, finally, we settle on a spot with a superb sunset. More of Alfred's test adventures in Morocco in the next video.